Hello and welcome to another episode of Steelfur on Sunday. It's the new segment from Steelfur where basically we quickfire review all of the news in Flesh and Blood each week. It's going to be under 10 minutes. It's going to update you on everything. This is what we're trying to do. If you have feedback afterwards, drop it in the comments, give me a like, let me know what you're thinking. Also, if you want to share your own local news, we'd love to feature it at the end of the episode, so you can message me directly, Blue Sky, Twitter, Discord, or just tweet out #Steelfur on Sunday. And when I see those, I'll try and put them into sort of like a local fab news segment that I'd like to do at the end of every episode. Obviously, this is the second one, so it doesn't exist yet. Big news from this week is very, very straightforward. Enigma and Zen have Living Legend. Zen was very, very close after his meteoric rush, aka when he was broken due to Bonds of Ancestry and Art of War, and then has kind of limped across with 3 victories in the past weekend of the Pro Quest for the Singapore Pro Tour. And Enigma has kind of entered her strong phase. She's had a few, but she's kind of really been in a strong phase recently and has kind of gone across in power with 19 wins and just taken herself off in good form. So Zen crawled along, Enigma went across. However, it is worth noting, if I pull up the metagame minute, that while Enigma had 19 wins, the actual true winner of the most this weekend was Aurora. And that really does raise questions, because if we look at the Living Legend accounts, you will see that Aurora is actually still quite high on 773. She already has gained 403 in the hunted season. If she keeps winning at this rate, and it is a big question as to if, because with Enigma gone, it's not necessarily so clear that Prism will just fill in that illusionist slot and keep the fatigue decks back. They do have a window, and we may see some more fatigue decks arising to beat Aurora. If that happens, she may get slowed down a bit. However, if it doesn't happen and she continues to win at this rate, or even at a higher rate now that Enigma is gone, she may also Living Legend by the end of this ProQuest season, which would be a huge shake-up to the metagame. And also has been raising questions from some people about, you know, the validity of putting out an armory deck 1 month before a hero goes Living Legend, or give or take, and how that feels for new players. It is definitely a question. I'm sure it's something LSS is thinking about. Also, of course, if fatigue heroes do rise up a bit more, we may see a window for Dash Adventure Extraordinaire to creep away. I think we would have to have fatigue decks coming in this weekend and beating Aurora solidly, and then next weekend we'd see more fatigue decks and people would pivot to Dash. I don't expect many people will pivot to Dash and expect to win this weekend. We have seen people playing Dash.io, but that's a very different beast. And she would need, I think, about 20 wins to win, so I don't think that's going to happen. The other big news just to consider, and I want people to think about, is apparently the world premiere of the High Seas in Taipei is almost sold out. I saw a message saying there are already 100 tickets left, so it may already be sold out by the time I'm recording this. So, you know, if you haven't got a ticket left and you are planning on going, I would get that trip organized now. I would get that trip organized as soon as possible. These world premieres do sell out quickly these days. I imagine they're also scoped to be, you know, aggressive, so they will sell out. But also, you know, they have a lot of players attending. I imagine there'll be 600, 700, 800 people there playing High Seas, if not more. If you want to be one of them, you should have really done it 2 weeks ago, but there may still be a chance if you get onto it now. The other thing that I really want to talk about is a little bit of a teaser for something called Project Blue that actually just came across my desk this morning. Someone sent me a link to a Card Merchant event that is happening later on this year. Card Merchant is a store in New Zealand. I think it's in Auckland. And really, it's just a place where, you know, Flesh and Blood started. Really, there were lots of people there playing Flesh and Blood originally. And it's one of sort of the bulwark stores in New Zealand for Flesh and Blood. I myself bought singles there during the whole Crucible sold out in Europe phase at the start of the game. And I bought singles and had them shipped all the way from New Zealand. But there have been pictures shared today. Now I'm going to share it with you, and I'm going to talk to you through what has currently been revealed and kind of what you should think or do about it, and then what it may imply. So what we've seen so far is just this. There's been a 1-page event put up with the ability to buy tickets, talking about something called Flesh and Blood Project Blue. and something called Legend Story Labs, as well as a first view of a New Zealand exclusive Sink Below with its own art. Now, I do think the Sink Below will be available potentially at Calling Auckland, which looks like a super fun event and will be the last time when it will be easy to get Welcome to Wraith Alpha or First Edition Arcane Rising. So I imagine a lot of people will be going to that as well. And we may see the Sink Below rolled out there as well. But at the moment, this is the only announced way to get this New Zealand exclusive Sink Below promo. We can't really get that close on the art, but it kind of just looks like someone is sitting in a stream of magic and they're being assaulted by giant beasties, which is all quite interesting. I'm sure we'll get a better look at it later. Let's move back then to Project Blue. Do we have any idea what Project Blue is? Well, the event website suggests that it is the testing of a new format in Flesh and Blood. There's not really much other information available on that right now. But in the keynote for the Pro Tour in London, James White said very clearly that they were aware of the flaws in the Blitz format, aka when you have all of the cards that are available in Classic Constructed available in Blitz, 20 life disappears incredibly fast, and you can't have these. Basically, you can't have a bad turn. In Classic Constructed, you can have a bad turn and just lose a bit of life and then come back. In Blitz, that's not possible, because when you lose that life, you're then on the knife's edge or you just can't come back. Based on that, it is very likely at this stage, and we also know that development of PvE was stopped, by the way, so this is not a PvE test, but it is very, very likely at this stage that this Project Blue is a testbed of the new Blitz format. And the only real hint about what that might be is, well, we've got two options really. Either Blue is Project Blue, aka people can only play blue cards in their Blitz decks. That would be a bit odd, but it could be a bit fun. Unlikely, because that would exclude a lot of class-specific Majestics, it would exclude a lot of stuff. Or the other thing that's prominent that's blue in the game of Flesh and Blood is the blue, the rarity symbol. So this potentially could be, and I don't know how many of you follow other formats in the game, but there is a fan-made format called Clash, where basically the only cards that are legal in deck are commons and rares commons, rares, and specific hero specializations. So you can play Arclight Sentinel, but you can't play Genesis, right? You can only play Majestics if they're specializations. And then on the equipment side, the only things that are legal are, I think any weapon is legal, so you can play rare weapons or majestic weapons, and then only rare equipment is legal, but I'm not really sure. But the point is, we could be seeing a new Blitz format where only rares are legal, and maybe they add in specializations as well, because you want something that's really clear to understand. So saying only rares and specializations is really easy to understand. Allowing rare weapons and stuff like that makes sense as well. Allowing majestic weapons would make sense as well too. But that's the only thing I can really think of, is that they're testing a new Blitz format. It might be one where rares are allowed, and there will be a very big difference between Commoner, where rares aren't allowed, a rare-based format and the Majestic-based format, and that might actually do a lot to alleviate the problems with Blitz. Rare cards are still fun and powerful. The other thing we want to talk about then for the last 2 minutes is Legend Story Labs. Now, if you go to the Card Merchant website for the event, there is a mysterious link. If you follow that link, it will take you to a website, which I'll put on the screen in front of you now, called Legend Story Labs. Legend Story Labs exists to uncover exciting new possibilities and innovative approaches across all aspects of the player experience. Based in Aotearoa, which is another name for New Zealand, the true name arguably for New Zealand, Legend Story Labs serves as our starting point, where concepts are tested, refined and shaped before they reach a wider audience. This foundation allows us to work quietly, experimenting with what could change everything. What's being developed here is just the beginning. The future of gaming is being written now. Do you want to step into the future with us? If you click yes, it will take you to a Discord that you can access. Now, before you rush off and find this website and click and join the Discord, I want to say to you all, right now, there is zero reason to currently go and join this Discord. From the way I can see things right now, this Discord was meant to be shared with the local players joining this event, and there is nothing there that can be accessed by the broader public. Currently, the Discord is full of a welcome channel, an announcement that's just quite vague, and a whole general discussion that is full of Americans wondering what the hell this channel is about. And everything else that's hinted says that the next step of the Discord will involve an individual verification, will involve some sort of application process, and there is no other information. And I guarantee you, when it is ready to be shared, LSS will do a post about it, so don't think you're missing out. There is nothing happening within Legend Story Labs that you need to be aware of now, right? It's just them being quite clear. They've made this website that's talking about alpha and beta testing of concepts in Flesh and Blood, very likely to be done locally in stores like Card Merchant, as we're seeing already with this local event. And it's also going to be something where I imagine to get into one of these alpha and beta channels, you're going to need to pass an approval process, have some sort of credibility, either as a Flesh and Blood player with a bit of a name to yourself, or be a local who isn't able to participate in paper testing. So don't rush, find this website, join the Discord just yet. Let them do what they're going to do. Let them announce it. If you join right now, it's just a lot of people being like, excuse me, what is this? You're not going to get any answers until LSS actually announce it. But I will say it is very, very exciting to see this. It is very, very exciting to see them setting up what looks like the mechanisms for external testing for their game. External testing for new ideas. And as the company grows, the pressure to, be better at testing, better at development. They've got some really great development ideas. But there's always going to be the potential, especially when you've got no rotation and 30 heroes, that someone's going to find, the next Sigil of Suffering channel Lightning Valley, the next Stride of Reprisal with Art of War, those combos that use old cards to break the game in a way that weren't expected. And the pressure to deliver the, we'll say, best TCG they can will continue to increase. So broadening that testing portfolio, and I already know from discussions with various people that they already have a playtesting group that involves, people who used to play in New Zealand and do very, very well, some other international people who used to play and do very, very well. They have a group of people who do playtest for them who have played the game at a very high level. But what this indicates is that they're putting into place a program that lets them float ideas, right, in a way that is not threatening. Right, so if they float an idea to completely rework Blitz, what they really want to do is test it with some people in an alpha. Well, build it internally, test it with some people in an alpha. Maybe then they run a bigger beta test. Maybe they even run an online beta test, right? They could send it out. They could let people put it on Talishar. They could let people give their feedback, and they could do a whole community system. We have Discord, we have surveys, we have ways to test how these things are being done, and then they could involve people in that huge change to the format, and that would be really great. At the moment, no indications that this is going to be something that happens outside of a New Zealand-based audience or locally based to LSS, right? And that would be the safest way to do this, right? People are going to rock up to this Card Merchant event. They're going to get those in-paper proxies, and they're going to be given instructions on deck building before they come, and they're going to do that, and they're going to test it in person and give their feedback in person. The second that there is a global ability to participate, obviously I'm going to try and sign up. But also I'll let you guys know, and you can decide, and LSS can decide if you apply, whether that is something that you want to do, you have the time to do, and whether they obviously want you to do it as well, right? So just at the moment, keep it chill. We've seen some hints that this is happening. Let's not go crazy and be like, oh my God, they're going to beta test something online. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. It is very, very normal for card games to test locally in paper with, communities, and then extend that testing to specific groups of people who are specifically recruited to do this via an application process. So it's not, I'm just saying it's not, let's stay calm, right? Stay calm. Anyway, that's a huge news. I think that's really exciting. It's really exciting to see special promo. It's really exciting to see potentially the overhaul of Blitz unfolding before our eyes. Really keen to see what we get out of this event in June. I imagine we might hear a lot back from it. But I will say it has not uncommon for people who show up to events like this to be required to sign an NDA. So maybe we won't hear that much from it. But we'll see, Anyway, exciting times in the Flesh and Blood universe. Really excited to see them working on their, beta testing, alpha and beta testing mechanisms. And of course, we're going to watch and see what happens with Aurora in the ProQuest. As always, thank you. If you like this segment, do like and subscribe. Do tell me, because obviously this is a new idea I am rolling out. This is only the second week of it. So if you think this is good and this is the sort of short form update you want, even this episode was too long, but I got carried away by the Project Blue announcement. But even this one was too long. And if you do want your own local news, message me directly or hashtag Steelfur on Sunday, and you can have these announcements. And I will include you in the next episode. Right, speak to you all soon and have a great week in Flesh and Blood.